Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live. If you're tuning in live, make sure that you say hello in the comments and let us know exactly where you're watching from. We love dialogues. We are not about monologues. And so please join us by participating in the comment section so that you help us to deepen this conversation. If you're catching the replay, type hashtag replay so that we can connect with you later as well. Let's dive right into today's conversation. Did you know that some of the everyday items we use right in our homes could be slowly poisoning us? That's actually the truth. From cleaning products to personal care items to even the things that we use in our kitchen, such as our pots and pans, can be harming our health without us even realizing it. That's why today I am super excited in this Love Yourself series for National Cancer Prevention Month. I'm excited to be joined by Patrice Lockhart, who is here to really help us uncover some powerful things. The hidden dangers in products that we use, how these chemicals are actually impacting our health, our bodies, our minds, and practical, easy ways that we can begin detoxing our lives starting tonight. So this is a conversation that I believe will literally save lives. So let's jump in. Patrice, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you for having me here, DeQuesta. Always a pleasure.
Now, Patrice, many people assume that if something is sold in the grocery store or other stores, as long as it's up for retail, it must be safe. But
Ah,
is that really the case?
that is so far from the truth. We live in a day and time now where if we don't check the labels, if we don't understand what those long words mean, if we don't understand why it says for export only, etc., we become victims. We live in a time, unfortunately, where it's it's been about the mighty dollar more than it is about the human beings and their health concerns. Unfortunately, that's the kind of world we're now living in. And it's sad.
I was actually just going to say that it's sad that the almighty dollar is actually what is driving or the driving force behind us
Isn't it?
having so many products in our homes. Like, where did the concern for humanity and human life and the wellness of community go? I have no idea, like,
You know,
why we've gone so far away from you know
from
being
loving
concerned
each
about
other.
other people,
You
right?
know
From
what?
love, right?
Loving each the scripture even tells us the love of for
Money.
many will wax cold. And we care. It's so sad, but it's us moving away from the standards of God. No matter how you put it, when you say love your neighbor like you love yourself, this would never be a thing. I would
Hmm.
never sell you something that I know that's going to cause you and your children to become sick, to
Right,
suffer, and eventually die. If
right.
I love you, if I love you, I would not do that.
That's it there, right? It's that love of community. Now, Patrice, it is National Cancer Prevention Month, and you and I are aware that there are so many things in our environment that can be triggers for us to have challenges within our health. And there's so many things that what we use every day, like cleaning products and the pots that we cook
Mm,
in, and the devices that we use that create havoc in our body is. So I want to just go a little bit deeper in our conversation. And I want to bring it to the kitchen first and foremost,
Mhm.
because I was blown away. You did a presentation for our cancer group maybe 6 years ago when we were at the meeting place, and you came in and you were talking about the pots and pans. And I came home and I threw out all my nonstick.
Mhm.
And I just have stainless steel now. And I'd be mad when I have to clean them, especially if I burn something, right? But right, and then the other day I ended up with a cast iron pan, but it had a coating on it, and I scratched the coating using the wrong utensil, and I threw that out because I realized that by scratching that coating, it was releasing toxins. So let's talk about the things in the kitchen that we use, thinking that they're safe.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're talking about Teflon. Let's start with the Teflon. There is a coating that is used on all of the non-stick pans. I know it's supposed to be modern technology, etc. This same coating, also the pizza boxes that makes it so slippery. You notice that slippery, all of that stuff that makes it so waxy. Even when you see the raincoat where water is supposed to just slip off and run off, all of these this Teflon, this chemical that is not good for us. The Teflon has been proven, scientifically proven over and over to cause cancer. It's carcinogenic. And a carcinogen is anything that causes cancer directly or indirectly. And so many times we just so innocently go and we fall prey to marketing schemes, I should say. Oh, the quick and the easy way to do this. Oh, every home has one of these. But the more we move away from basics, we always need to question everything right now. um, People don't understand. I see, and I remember growing up, my grandmother used to use those pots. When she bought it, it was non-stick. By the time you're using that years afterwards, it's not non-stick. And then you ask yourself, where did all of that non-stick stuff go? It went in your food and you ate it. And let me tell you something about our bodies. Our bodies are not designed to break down a lot of these chemicals, a lot of these metals that go into the body. It's just when we eat a food, the brain sees food as fuel. It breaks it down into micro. You hear me talk about this all the time. Micronutrients, macronutrients, which is the vitamins and minerals, the carbs, the protein. That's what the brain knows how to um, recognize when it comes in the body. And okay, you go here for this, you go here for that. This is what you use. But when you start putting in aluminum, when you start putting in these chemicals, then it's like, no, no, I don't know you. Who are you? And one of the things is our body is smart. And one of the things I learned from the very beginning when I started my natural health journey and my studies was that the body, when we digest these things, the body has to find a way to move it away from the major organs. And so what it does in all of our joints, it puts these foreign chemicals, let me just say, and metals, because it's in the body and we don't naturally pass it. The brain, it's like, that's not vitamins, that's not minerals, that's not for carbs, that's not for protein, that's not for fatty acids. So what is this? So the body has to find a way to take it away so it doesn't go near the heart, the lung, the digestive system, all that. So it goes into our joints. And we wonder why we have all of these issues, because we're eating a lot of the foods, even our foods in the can, that in the aluminum tin, and we grow up with our tomato paste and our peas and our this and that in the can that is lined with aluminum. Truth is, our bodies are not designed to break these things down. And then when we get sick, we say the devil. We blame the devil. No, ain't no devil. My people perish for lack of knowledge. And it's a we need to become more focused on what we put in our bodies and what we give our children right now. Like the other a few weeks ago, and I have not tried the app, there's an app now that you can take in the food store with you, that you can put it to the any label, and it will tell you if it's good for you, what's in it, the chemicals, the toxins, with degrees in it, etc. We all need to now be going to the food store with it.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
listen here, we act as though, we're told we have cancer, we're told we have this, we're told we have that, but I promise you that didn't just creep upon you. It didn't.
So over time, I see one of our viewers, Candice, is saying that yes, it is the devil.
It- eh,
But one of the things we're good at doing though, Patrice, is throwing the blame on something
yeah,
other
that's
than
what I'm
us,
saying. Yeah,
right?
because my people, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And see, you know what the enemy does? He knows how to take advantage of your ignorance. If you know, um, and you know what? We know, we know. Hey, how many times
Yes,
have you eaten something you know, Lord Jesus, please help me.
yes,
Lord, I shouldn't be. We know what we're doing.
yes, we do.
That's why we get beaten
Yes,
with
we
many
do.
stripes. So when
Yes,
we reap what we sow, we blame the devil. Yeah, but we have a choice in the matter.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
it included me. I just had some German chocolate just now. I love it. It was good. And their food tend to be more cleaner
Okay.
than
Ye-
the U.S. A lot of the U.S. products. I tend to I like more of the products, honestly, that comes out of the UK. Now, not that everybody's perfect, but there are at least
mhm.
some laws and regulations
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
UK from way back then. They
Yeah,
did not
yeah,
have to come into their country, and
yeah,
so they have guidelines. Like even pasta, the pasta we eat,
yes,
you
yeah.
understand the pasta that comes out of the food store, what that looks like. I remember many, many, many years ago, a family member of mine had gone into natural medicine as a doctor, and when he'd come home, I was one of those who got a colon cleaning. And he was, they always need people to come in and blah, blah, blah. So I was on the test. And I remember one of those times I had eaten pasta. And when I was sure, it looked like gum, like gummy flat. Listen here, it's crazy
Wow,
because it was processed. When you eat, my household now, my son and I, we only eat Italian pasta.
wow,
Italian pasta, the amount of pasta the US makes in a year, or the amount of let me get the facts right. The amount of pasta the Italians make in a year is about a month in what the US make.
oh
They
wow.
keep this natural. It is such a difference. You may
Mm-hmm.
pay a little more, but when you understand there's a difference, and that's what we need to understand. Understand
Mm,
what's in the food. So what's the difference? Why is
yes.
Italian pasta? And when I say Italian, I'm talking about made in Italy. And
Can someone type that in the chat for me, please? Make sure that we're capturing that we should start purchasing made in Italy pasta. Someone type in the
yes,
chat for me, please. I see Candy's here though. She's asking some questions.
okay,
She wants to know if you could purchase that app on Amazon, but I know that you're going to get back to us on how we can get that
yeah,
food store
right.
app.
Yes,
And
okay.
she's also asking if they have German jasmine rice. She is such a joker.
Mind you, I can find out,
She is
don't put it
such a
past me.
joker.
Yeah,
So,
I
I
know
mean,
how many like,
Patrice, Coach Patrice, just listening to you, we already understand that one, food is toxic. Two, the parts that we cook the food in is even toxic. Because when you talk about the Teflon, back in the day when I used to have to wash dishes for my grandmother cooking, it was never in non-stick pans. I mean, that's 50 years ago, right?
Oh,
So
yeah, they
back
didn't
in
have
the
the
day, it was
technology.
those stainless steel. And man, you let me tell you what to taste good from the bottom of that pot.
Pot
That
cake.
was that pot cake, right? But it
Listen,
wasn't convenient the way that we're now conveniently able to wash pots and pans because of
yes,
that stickiness that's in the pan that makes it wash right out. I
yeah,
see Shivanya is saying that she definitely is also interested in the grocery store app, and Chantel is saying
okay,
that pasta made in Italy is the best. So,
yes.
Patrice, we have the pots, all right?
Mhm.
So we know that we need to use what type of pots? What should we be purchasing?
Stainless steel
Stainless steel.
and the cast iron.
Okay. Now
Yes,
we know
iron
that
may
that
be heavy,
right.
but those are the best that we ought to be
At least
using.
it could be dual purpose. The cast iron is a weapon.
Yeah, just, hey, you can even exercise with it.
Okay, so someone
Weights.
type it in chat for me, please, that we want to make sure that we purchase stainless steel
Cast
or
iron.
cast
Iron.
iron
Yes.
pots and pans. Okay.
Yes.
So, and as I was listening to you talk about the food and how it goes in the colon, and you had your colonic, you had your colon cleansed out, and they were able to see the gumminess and all that sort of stuff. It brought to mind the fact that we also use, so we have the bad food, and then we're using the microwave to warm the bad food up in.
Mm,
And so over a year ago, we made the decision in my household that we will not have a microwave. So we don't have a microwave anymore. And
yeah.
yes, it may take me 15 minutes to warm the food up in the toaster oven. It stays hot longer in any event. And
Mm-hmm.
it also creates it what it created for us was certain like establishing dinner times. So if I was warming up leftovers, which my husband will have tomorrow, then I know if we have dinner at 5, 4:45, I need to have the food warming so that we could hit our
Yes.
dinner time. So it helped with time management as well. Tell us
Yeah.
about the toxicity of the microwave and how it allows toxins to enter our bodies.
I have not had a microwave in over. I've been here now for about 13 years, and when I was in Freeport, I threw it away years prior to that. Understanding what the microwave does to our body, what it does to the food. First of all, um, even what we put the food in, those containers leach out chemicals. You know, I know they tell us a lot of marketing things, and I have to be careful what I say here because I represented a company, and a lot of people got sick, and so I have to be very careful. But listen, we love convenience. Convenience is okay, but not at the cost of your health. And I'm trying to remember, quite frankly, with the microwave, it's been so long that I threw that out of my family. As and literally, I had done a lot of research, and not just a lot of research, but because of a place where I was working, there were scientists had to come, etc., and there was a lot of research being done and about that area. And there was some reports I read. But needless to say, when it comes to microwave is not safe. Microwave is not safe, not only for what it does to the food, but even what, like I said, began to say, what we put the food in, anything that causes chemical to leach out into your food, you're putting that into
Mm-hmm.
your body.
Yes.
We have
Well,
to become.
we never give a second thought to that though. You go, you buy takeout, you throw the styrofoam in the microwave, or because it's something, used to be the styrofoam plates, and now it's these hard plastic plates. You just throw it in the microwave and you warm it up, and then you eat all that, and then don't let the thing overheat because then the plastic
Had
plate
to
will crunch
melt,
right off.
and all
And
of
we,
this.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
So,
do not recognize that these stuff. I don't know how we've become so like zombies.
mm,
we
Yes.
believe a lot of foolishness that are not logical.
Yes. Yes.
The marketing out there tells us that if you do this, this, or this, you possibly could do this to be sick and die. And then, but we still do it. We
Yes.
know that back in the day, they used to do it like this, but we won't do it like this because of convenience. We know that it's going to cause you, or it's going to
Yes.
compromise your health, but yet we make
Yes.
these
Well,
decisions.
yeah, so we have some questions and comments in the chat.
Mhm.
Chantal is asking about glass pots. Are they safe?
If it's glass now, I've not used glass pots. I use glass now. I use glass to drink from. I don't use
Right,
plastics at home. Everything I drink from. And
right.
thank God I don't have any kids, so or any babies, so I love my crystals.
Yes.
Do
Okay.
not use
So
plastic,
Chantal, we'll do some research on the glass pots and get back to
but
you.
I'm sure it's good because
Yeah.
glass takes
Yeah,
heat.
glass is
Heat.
good.
Glass is formed under heat.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that's even a lot of the things now my mommy likes plastic. If she hear me, but she from the old school. Just start
Okay.
asking, why you like to keep all these glass jars?
Yes.
But
Yes.
when I buy stuff with the glass jars, I keep them and I store things in glass more
Yes.
than the
Okay.
plastic. Because
Okay.
again, these are chemicals. Even when we put things, let's say a bottle of juice or anything or water, we put it in the deep freeze.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something, releasing chemicals in
Mm.
um, whatever it is, because anytime you have to and again, when the molecules are altered, we learn about solid, liquid, and
Right.
gas back in the day, electrons, protons,
Yes.
neutrons, excuse me, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
When we begin to manipulate them, um, their composition changes. And when you put them in, excuse me, and when you allow yourself to digest these things,
Yeah.
you cannot
Toxins.
expect everything to be the same. I'm sorry, it can't.
Okay. All right. So I see Helen here is asking if it's what about air fryers?
If now, from what I have understood about air fryers, it is supposed to be safe because it
Okay.
uses the air.
Right.
Um,
The
because when
convection
I was
oven.
doing, yes, using the air, spinning the air,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Because when now I have an air fryer, and but before I needed to understand a bit more. And what I try to do before I get into any technology, I don't care who says it's good, I try to understand first. And what I try to do is look beyond what is
Yeah.
being said, the thought behind the thought, then the thought behind that. Even with the electric cars,
Mm-hmm.
a lot being said about the electric cars, but when you go deeper, there's some things that make you question it. And that's why I people talk so much about electric cars, but I'm like, no, there's a couple of questions as to
You
uh,
still have.
yeah,
Okay.
about how they affect our lives.
Okay. All right. So now I see Candice who has a valid question.
Mhm,
I have an answer for her, right?
mhm.
So she said, okay, so me going to work and wanting to warm my food, what do I do as an employee wanting hot food? And what I have to share with Candice is that it takes preparation and time. One of the things that we do with my granddaughter's soup is we put it in a thermos. We put it in a
Like
thermos.
we used to do when I was a little
Yeah,
girl going to
yeah,
school,
and it stays hot until lunchtime.
those old
And
fashioned
then,
ways.
yes, and then also there just like they have the thermos for the soup, they have thermal lunch containers that you put your food in and it stays hot. It may not be like scalding hot, but by the time that you're ready to eat it, it's going to be it's still going to have the heat to it that you can enjoy it. So that's one of the things that you can use. And those products are sold on Amazon as well.
Hmm.
If you you know, I prefer to buy Bahamian, but I don't know of any Bahamian companies that have that product. So you can just look on Amazon for variations of that type of product so that you can take your food hot to work.
And
All
not
right.
only that, also, most companies now have an area dealing with health and wellness, because I get to speak to a lot of these companies, and a lot of them are interested in the health and well-being of their internal customers. And
Hmm.
so a lot of times, as simple as an air fryer replacing
Yes.
a
The
microwave,
microwave
the
or a
request
toaster
can be,
oven.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
a request can be made.
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations, and I can tell you, I have been, they bring me in to speak, and I at least am very impressed with that they have committees
Yes.
that deal specifically with that. And
Mhm.
as employees, you speak out and you request it, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request,
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
make it known.
Yeah. So, Patrice, I want to move on, Coach Patrice, from the topic of pots and pans and microwaves to something that almost every woman I know uses.
Hmm.
There are two things. One is those bath and body candles. Sorry for throwing your name under the bus, Bath and Body. But those candles and the plug-ins and Fabuloso and those different cleaning products, let's talk about how they wreak havoc on our system.
Oh boy, listen here. Again, it's what's being placed in these products, because the good old soy candles from way back in the day, right now that's not as chic. Everybody, we have to have the apple cinnamon, we
Right.
have to have the vanilla. Mind you, nothing wrong with these if we could get the organic or the natural
Yes.
means. But when they start adding in all of these fragrances, paraffins, um, all of these things are not good for us. In fact, I wrote down a couple of them. I wanted to make sure, like the air freshener. And let me read it, because I said I'm going to stay on target today. Um, Not only do air fresheners have chemicals, formaldehyde, petroleum, um, the paraffin as well. These are all things that are not good for us when we inhale them. Our our lungs. So many times we're wondering why we have these issues, breathing issues. Again, these chemicals are not designed for the inside of our bodies. Even the lotions, and I wanted to touch a couple of them
Oh,
here.
yes. Touch them. Touch them.
Okay, because again, when we don't understand the effect on them, and um, things like, I wrote them all down, so please forgive me. I'm reading them
Go ahead.
because I wanted to make sure. Because a lot of times people ask me, about my deodorant when I talk about the sessions, why I don't use. I've been on natural deodorants for I don't know, must be 12 years or so. But deodorants have harmful chemicals like the aluminum. Let me tell you, when you understand that these things are designed to stop the natural things from happening, like we're supposed to naturally perspire. I know
Yes.
we don't like it, but by design, that's what God says. That's what's supposed to happen under the
Right.
pits. You are going to perspire. You let out a lot of things that need to be
The
need to come
toxins.
out through your sweat, etc. And when you use an antiperspirant, you got to understand anti is against. Okay. So when you use that to stop a natural process, you're backing that up in under your arms. And that's why our lymph nodes, many times people have these they feel the bump under their arms. Our lymph nodes are responsible for removing these toxins and moving them, whether it's hair, the lymph nodes, hair, etc. They're responsible for moving and flushing. And if you stop a process, if something is meant to be eliminated from your body, and you stop that process so it could stay in, that's not good for you.
Mm.
That's one with the antiperspirant. Then when we they have things like the oh yeah, the parabens, and what that does, it prevents bacteria and fungus from growing on in your lotion. That's what the paraben is for. But it's also known as an endocrine disruptor.
Mm.
And when you understand, and this, I'm a menopausal practitioner, so this big for me, about our hormones.
Mhm.
We have what's called hormones. Our hormones are chemical messengers that carry messages and commands and make things happen through the body.
Mhm.
These hormones each have on it what's called a receptor, like an antenna that picks up the message. And these parabens, these hormone disruptors, what they do is they cause these antennas that's on the hormones that's supposed to pick up the receive the message like a receiver. It blocks it, it stops it. And so your hormones that are supposed to be as your thyroid hormones, because they mess with our thyroid hormones, they mess with our hormones when our hormones are supposed to be doing this. Um, there's no signal coming to the
Mhm.
receptor. So our bodies, it puts our bodies in disarray. That's why even with menopause, that's why a lot of women have such a hard time going through
Mhm.
menopause. We have there's so much endocrine disruptors, and our hormone system need to be the hormonal system, which comes under the endocrine system. And the endocrine system is all of these glands that the hormones live in. They all have a function. When you start messing with them, when they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, when you interrupt that, you cause problems. You cause yourself
Mm.
to get sick. And I'm just saying in the layman's
Right.
term for you to
Right.
understand. You
Right.
opened the door for sickness and disease.
Mhm.
So when we talk about, I always tell people use natural deodorants. Listen here, like I told you, and I still have to bring you one of mine. Mine lasts for so long. I do my own deodorants now. I've done it
Mhm.
for a while, and I feel so good that I'm
Mhm.
not using artificial stuff.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Again, our skin is the
Yeah.
largest organ,
Correct.
the
Absolutely.
largest organ, and it's also
Yes.
porous. So
Yes.
when you put these lotions, when you put these deodorants that have these formaldehyde, that have these
Mm.
parabens, that have these fragrance,
Poison and toxins into your body.
straight
Yes.
directly, and then we wonder why
Yes.
we're sick. We wonder why
Yes.
we're breaking out. When I see people with their skin breaking out,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like I want to scream. It's like, what you doing to yourself? What you putting on your skin? What you know?
Right.
And then I remember before I went into menopause, just in natural health, some people would say to me, "And this just happened out of nowhere for no reason." I'm like, really? Nothing happens to your body just for no reason. For every
Right.
cause, there is an
Something.
effect.
Yes. Yes. For every
Every,
cause.
every.
Yes. Yes. So I'm so glad that you touched on all of those things. As you know, I use native brand deodorant now. I've given up antiperspirant since before when my mom got breast cancer. Because I
Uh,
had that same school of thought. If I'm keeping the toxins in my body, I'm gonna, something's gonna happen in there. It's gonna get
yeah,
absorbed. Something's gonna happen in there by
duh.
keeping the toxins in there, right? So that secondly, last year, I was introduced to Thieves toothpaste. Because before that, I'd been using Tom's toothpaste, which is
Mhm.
another natural
Yes.
toothpaste versus the ones that are sold on the market today. And it'll be interesting just how making these small changes create such a huge impact. Because I did some research about the cloves and how cloves are so important for dental health and all of that. So there
Mhm,
are products that we could use. You have the deodorant, you have the
mhm.
face moisturizers, they have all natural brands. And yes, you may pay a little bit more, but
It's worth it.
it
And
is
your soaps,
absolutely
by the way,
worth
your
it.
soap, that lavender is I forgot to
I'm
tell
telling
you,
you, you
awesome.
love that,
I
right?
have to come back. I have to get some more. That was
Yes,
amazing.
I
Yes.
need to up the production of my soap. Soap
Please.
takes 4 to 6 weeks to cure. I be doing so much things that, when I can make them, I make them, but we use all natural soaps in my house. We use no store-bought soap, nothing of that nature to put toxins in our bodies. But
Yeah.
Patrice, I want to segue to just two more topics before we end tonight's live. And I want to talk about the choice of sanitary pads that we're using, right? Because those are
Mhm.
toxins as well. Some people use tampons, some people use pads, some people use panty shields. When I was younger, like when I was growing up as a teenager, and I got into 15, 16, 17, my mom was like, okay, you have to start wearing panty shields. I'm like, why? Like, why I gotta wear panty shields? Why do I have to wear that every day? Right? And I stopped. I started wearing cotton underwear. Yes, I could find sexy cotton underwear. Yes, I am married. And when I want to be sexy with my husband, I just don't put on nothing. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And I know sometimes
And
y'all
I
like to
surely
talk
prefer
about,
that.
okay? Because people like to say, oh, they ain't sexy. They want the lacy polyester. They want the lacy, silky, all of these things all the G strings and stuff that like you just put in toxins in your things. So
Yeah.
let's talk about how those liners and how the tampons and how the sanitary napkins are also toxic.
Okay. Unfortunately, and again, we have moved so far left in this world that I mean, everything is becoming dangerous, even down to the baby food. Before time, they never used to touch the baby food. Now the baby food, but our pads. Listen, your pads, those fragrances, and see, we don't understand. First of all, I'm gonna call it because we're on YouTube. I'm gonna be very dictated and say your queendom. Okay, your queendom is very delicate.
Mm,
Our queendom, first of all, we don't get to have a lot of air down there like we need to. There's a pH balance
yes.
that has to be maintained down there. Okay,
Mhm.
and besides keeping yourself clean, when we are using these other materials that are not cotton, synthetic material, that my mind is going, and I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to segue just for a second. There are some research, and I didn't go deep into it. It was passed on to me, and I began to go through it from the Egyptian times. When you understand, and there's something in the Bible I was told to about it. The different clothes we put on our body, and the material affects our mental and emotional
Mm,
state, because everything is energy.
yes.
Everything is energy. But anyhow, when we use these panties that are with these synthetic materials and we put it down there, first of all, there's not a down there can't even breathe like it need to. Then we now live in this world. You have to wear a pad every day, or a tampon, or a like you said, a panty shield every day. The our vagina skin is very delicate. And when we're using these panties that rubbing up against our skin every day, then we're using these pads that have scents in them with these fragrance. They are bleached, and I'm giving you research that has been quantified and showed where I've seen it where side by side they lay them, and I had my own personal experience too. I remember when I switched from um, regular pads way back to cotton pads. And I remember one of the first things was the scent of my period. I always hated the scent of blood. But when I use natural pads as opposed to the regular pads I'd use all my life, I remember going to someone who had done it years before me. She was saying, "Yeah, that's one of the issues." I was like, "How come it's so different?" And she was explaining all of that chemicals they use bleach for those pads to look those color.
Yes.
They use chemicals. They use fragrances, and when you put that down there in that area, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, listen here, we are not being kind to ourselves. I know
Yeah.
we like the nice scents. I know we think it makes us cleaner. No, let me tell
Yeah.
you something. The old good old fashioned way mommy teaches how to clean ourselves
Mm-hmm.
is the way to clean ourselves. Now with all of these chemicals, the hide, the scent, and whatnot, and when a woman down there is smelling, your pH balance is
Is
off.
off, correct. Gotta fix the cause.
Yes.
Don't hide it
Yes.
under
And
a fragrance.
and
Yes.
honestly, because some women have been promiscuous, there's bacteria, and when you understand what happens with bacteria, and there are things that you have to do to kill bacteria,
Mm-hmm.
because as long as the environment
Mm-hmm.
is your sustaining it, then
Mm-hmm.
it's going to live. So you're going to have to make sure not um, use your cotton panties so you are not sweating as much. So even if you sweat,
Mm-hmm.
the body's able, the panty is able to absorb it rather than it sticking to the skin
Yeah.
staying wet, bacteria. You're giving it a reason to live.
Yes. You're giving it an environment to live in.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So all of these things, the panty, using the
Yeah.
panty shield, the panties, the shields that we wear. And I tell some of my menopausal women, because what happens during menopause, a lot of women deal with vaginal dryness, the itching and the burning.
Mhm.
Go to bed without your panties.
That's it.
Let girlfriend get some air.
That's it. Yeah. And guys, are you watching this conversation? Continue to drop in chat any questions you may have or any comments that you would like to contribute or anything that you're learning as we're having this dialogue with Coach Patrice Lockhart. I'm Coach Patrice. There's so much toxins, right, that I want to talk about.
Mm.
One is bleach.
Uh,
I just learned how to make bleach, and it was at the Thrive Retreat where Coach Sandy actually taught us that we could make natural bleach using
everything.
hydrogen peroxide. And she was explaining to us how toxic bleach is, but we use it every day to wash our dishes, to mop our floors. In the Caribbean we bleach people, right?
Okay.
But bleach is very toxic. So what I've started doing here in my home within, since the Thrive retreat to now is really using vinegar with water and essential oils to mop the floor with. That has made a tremendous difference. We have no there are no triggers of sinuses. It's just like it's night and day because the scents
Yes.
linger.
Yes, there's so many options, even with the air freshener. What I
Hmm.
have is I use peppermint.
Yes.
I use peppermint and I use some water and peppermint and keep it in a spray bottle.
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
spray my bed. I will
Yeah.
spray the room. I will spray the house.
Yes.
There's so many things. You can use the lavender,
Yes.
use the lemongrass, whatever scent you like.
Yes. Yes.
There's so many alternatives
Yeah.
that the chemicals that this last century or this last 50 years
Mm-hmm.
we've turned to that has become so toxic.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so the last toxin I want to talk about today, even though there are thousands more, is
Mhm.
alcohol. We live in a society where happy hour every Friday. You have this
Yes.
thing where you could have 2 glasses of wine a day. Without it, that's the recommended, whatever. Men could have more, whatever, whatever. But we all know that alcohol is a toxin. Can you talk to us about the damage, even if you drink casually, what alcohol does to the body?
We're told a lot about alcohol, and there is a research. Um, I came across it about maybe 2 years ago that talked about 1 glass. The liver is able to process, and I'm trying to remember if it's one a day or one every few days,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the liver that has to process the alcohol. And see that we think, oh, I can handle it, oh, I didn't get drunk. It's more than meets the eye. Our liver is responsible for cleaning out and taking out, dealing with so much toxins. And our liver is so bombarded. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even with the foods we put in, even with the toxins we put on our skin, our liver is responsible for that. And when you have, one of the research shows that there's a certain amount, and I think it's either one a day or one every couple of days. It's that amount the liver is able to process. And
Okay.
when you start going above and beyond that, it becomes toxic because the liver can't deal with that. The liver is dealing, and I really need to go back to find that research because it's been a while that I've spoken about that. But it makes it difficult on the liver. And when the liver is not able to process it, just like when you put on antiperspirant and you stop sweating, again, when we don't allow the organs, our body to do what it is supposed to do, there's always going to be backup. There's going to be repercussions,
Yes.
no matter what you say.
Yes.
No matter how you feel good now, there's always something going on the inside. So I would encourage persons, I know there's a lot being said, in moderation. And, from time to time, time to time, my time to time, the baby me every couple of years,
Right.
I haven't had wine for a while. But it's to understand first. I know we listen, and I tell people we have to learn to process more. We live in a world where marketing is real. The
Yes.
expertise of marketing, a lot of things you see, listen here, a lot of things you see that you think is coming from experts, they're not.
Mm.
Um, I was a part of a group, an global organization where when scientists, there were food experts, etc., across the globe. I was a part of that organization for a long time. And when the research used to come out, and I remember many times sharing, and people looking at me like I was crazy, I'd be crazy. Then afterwards, they'd be hearing it, but oh, you said that, you were talking about that. But when we begin to understand we live in a time now where it's more about the mighty dollar, then you are less trusting, not because you want to be an evil person, but
Right.
because you have to be a good steward of yourself.
Mhm.
I know the marketing, let me tell you something, the marketing out there, I am doing a course now. Like, my Jesus, we all have been victims to this stuff.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
in every way, things that are supposed to be trending. Do you understand? So many of it's just pure marketing.
Yes,
It
yeah.
is
And
not.
you have to understand, and the sad reality is a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the celebrities don't use the products that they're endorsing. They're getting paid to endorse these products, right? A lot of the marketing is they're using language that misrepresents, right? We definitely don't have time for that conversation tonight, but
Mhm.
we need people to be aware that they need to do some research, right?
Yes.
So, Coach Patrice is National Cancer Awareness Month, and we are in this series, 4 week series of loving yourself, from the perspective of cancer recovery, prevention, and learning to thrive again. As we close our live today, would you please give our cancer patients, our cancer survivors, our cancer caretakers, and anyone else who may be watching, maybe one or two tips that they can use to help with either preventing cancer or not even preventing cancer. I'd like you to speak to someone who is actually in the cancer journey now, and what are some of the things that that person can do to become whole again.
When you talk about healing, I've come to understand that we're bigger than this physical body. And when we understand that our soul has such a great part to play in our healing, the mind, the will, the emotions, healing begins with all of us, all of you, your thinking, your mental environment, your emotional environment as well as your physical environment. You
Mm-hmm.
have to master that. And literally, when I use the word master, I mean that master that. And no one is a better steward for that other than you. And
Mm-hmm.
again, yes, we read a lot of stuff on Google, but make sure you understand what's behind that and then what's behind
Mm-hmm.
that. And I know sometimes we're too busy to really understand, to connect the dot, but we live in a time that we must,
Yes.
because we will be being deceived.
Yes.
So that's one.
Yes.
It takes the whole of you to become
Yes.
involved in your healing. Um, and even that, there are natural and spiritual laws that will help you along as far as your healing journey. I am going on a journey with Dr. Joe Dispenza right now. My Jesus. Understanding more than I've ever understood before. We're bigger and we're grounded. We have more power than
Mm-hmm.
we realize. Scripture talks about that power that is at work within us, that's able to do more than we ask or ever imagine.
Yes.
Believe me, that's more than we have been taught.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Then, two, I would tell everybody detoxing is so important. And people will hear this and they'll go past their head, go listen to another session and won't do it. Listen, we spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years in these bodies. And we
Yeah.
will understand that we need to consistently detox. Like we just had a fast at the beginning of the year. My detoxing takes on two forms. Fasting. Like we fasted for I think it's like 30 going on 14 days. I didn't eat. And after Thrive Retreat, I did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing because
Yes.
I understand what happens when
Mm-hmm.
I fast, when I completely fast. I do not eat at all. I would just like this last fast, I just did green juice and water
Mm-hmm.
because I still need to replenish my cells.
Right.
But when you fast, you give your body an opportunity to stop the digestion process and get rid of those stored toxins.
Mm.
Those toxins in your joints, those toxins in the gut, those toxins in your bloodstream, your lymphatic system. Your systems have a chance to
Mm-hmm.
reboot again.
Yes.
Detox.
Yeah.
So I do that a couple times a year, as well as I use my Chagangano. My son
Mm-hmm.
always, my son, he's 30. And when I tell him certain things he's doing, because he eats well. But when he's doing foolishness, he said, Mommy, I got Chagangano. He's been around for all of these years. We travel doing a lot of seminars and sessions. So he's heard the testimonies. He's seen the doctor
Yes.
before. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, trust me, I got Chagangano.
Chagangano. Well,
And
thank
so,
you so much for
mhm,
sharing those two nuggets that we can all avail ourselves of, understanding that healing is a whole person event. It's body, mind, and soul. It's not just a physical body. And then, of course, detoxing and allowing the toxins to come out of our bodies. Coach Patrice, this was such an enlightening conversation to learn about the type of potware that we should be using in our kitchen, stainless steel, a cast iron, probably
mhm.
even glass. A great conversation too about using more natural products in our deodorant, our toothpaste, the lotions, doing our best to use soy-based or burn soy-based candles with essential oils in them.
Yes.
Using essential oils for scents, like we could just make a spray of the
All right.
essential oils as well and spray our environment. Sharing with us how even our feminine products are putting toxins in our bodies and making sure that we pay attention to what we're using in our queendom, right? And
That's
giving
right.
her the opportunity to breathe and then understanding the impacts of alcohol and how it has the potential to damage the liver, even if you casually drink, and your final tips. So thank you so much for this conversation. I know it's a lot to talk about, and we will probably have to swing back to you again for
Mm,
another part of this conversation because as we grew up in families, we watch our parents clean with certain products or take care of their bodies a certain way or use certain products. And because we saw that example, that's what we do, which proves the point that people do what they see. And so now to
mhm.
break that cycle, we have to teach cancer patients and survivors that there are other options, and that
Exactly.
tradition isn't when you have a rebirth, when you have the opportunity to, you've had your battle with cancer and you're starting life anew after you truly ring the bell because there's no more cancer cells, then that means that this is a new lease on life and it is a new lifestyle
Yes.
change as well. You can't go back to what was. You have to adapt to what needs to be in order for you to thrive and not have reoccurrence. We thank our
Mhm.
audience so much for their participation, for their questions, for engaging, and their laughter. We thank you so very much. We hope that you are able to use some of the information, and we ask that you drop it in the chat. Let us know exactly, maybe one thing you're going to take away from this conversation. What's one thing that you're going to do differently?
Yeah.
Because change doesn't happen overnight. It takes small,
Yes.
consistent efforts. So, what one thing will you do? Drop that in the chat. And I'll
Yeah.
also post links to Coach Patrice where you can reach out to her if you want to have a more personal conversation with her. Again, I'm Coach Duquesa. I'm president of the Jenny Dean Caring and Sharing Cancer Support Group, where our mission is to ensure that every female cancer patient has everything she needs to thrive after a cancer diagnosis. May God bless you all. Patrice, hang on for me. Don't you go. But as I close out the live, may God bless you all. And may you use some of this information to make a change or a difference in your life. Take care. And we'll be live again next week, Sunday, with another stimulating conversation. So look